ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ನಾನು ಸಲೀಂ. Dear students, in this video we are going to study about the origin and conduction of nerve impulses in unmyelinated neurons. So let's start the video. See, we know that neurons are the fundamental units of nervous system. So this is the diagram of neuron. We know that, so these are the structural and functional unit of nervous system, and these neurons are highly specialized and they are designed for transmitting the different kinds of stimuli or information, so from one nerve to the another nerve. So it is very important to understand how the information is processed from a target organ to the brain and from brain to the target organ. So neurons, remember, these are the longest cell in our body, and already I told you regarding the structure of neuron in the previous video also. If you don't know, just watch that video and come to this topic. Now, see, we know that the neurons are excitable cells because their outer membrane maintain an electric charge difference like a tiny battery. See, for example, if you look at this diagram, so you can see that the outer region of the axon or neuron, it is positively charged, whereas inner side you can see that it is negatively charged. So therefore the neurons are like a tiny battery or a small battery, and their outer membrane as well as the inner membrane, they maintain electrical charge differences. And at the same time, you should remember the neurons have different types of ion channels. For example, sodium ion channels, so they will allow the flow of sodium ions. Potassium ion channels, they allow the potassium ions. And sodium potassium pump is a specialized ion channel which helps in pumping, or you can say the transfer of both sodium ion as well as potassium ion. And dear students, you should remember sodium ion and potassium ion channel, they work like a passive transport, but sodium potassium pump, it require energy in the form of ATP. That's why it is important in case of active transport, because it need energy in order to perform the function. And these ion channels are selectively permeable. For example, sodium ion channel, it will allow only the flow of sodium ions. Potassium ion channel, it will allow only the potassium ion. So that's why these ion channels are very selective in nature. Now, if you look at, just now I told you, see, there is a high concentration of Na plus and low concentration of K plus outside the axon. Whereas in case of exoplasm, there is a high concentration of K plus, low concentration of Na plus, and high negatively charged proteins. So hence I can say that the outer region is called ECF, extracellular fluid, whereas the cytoplasm present in this exoplasm is called axoplasm. So exoplasm is negatively charged, whereas the ECF is positively charged. So this is called polarized state or resting state of the neuron. So you can see this slide. So when a neuron is not firing an impulse, it means the neuron is not conducting an impulse. See, the inside the axon, nothing but exoplasm, it contains high concentration of K plus, high negatively charged proteins, and low concentration of Na plus ions. Whereas the outside of the axon, that is called ECF, there is a high Na plus and low K plus. Hence the outside of the axon is positively charged and inside of the axon is negatively charged. Now, so a polarized membrane, so that is nothing but the result. So this specific distribution of ion creates an electrical difference across the membrane, and the outer surface is positively charged and inner surface is negatively charged. Same thing. So as I have shown in this diagram, so outer side you can see that it is positively charged, whereas the inner side of the axon is negatively charged. Why it is negative? Due to presence of negatively charged proteins. I hope it is clear. Now, so this state is called polarized state, it is also called resting state of the neuron. And if you measure the electrical potential difference of a resting neuron, it is minus 70 millivolt. So with the help of voltmeter, if you measure the electrical potential difference, so that is called resting membrane potential. You should remember. So nothing but the electrical potential difference across a resting plasma membrane of the neuron is called a RMP, resting membrane potential, and it is minus 70 millivolts. So now see how this delicate balance is maintained. So it is maintained through sodium potassium pump. And I told you that it is responsible for active transport. So using the energy, it actively moves ions against the concentration gradient. So that is very important point, dear students. The sodium potassium pump, it work against the concentration gradient. So what is the meaning of against the concentration gradients? It means the ions move from lower concentration to the higher concentration. Generally, we know that ion move from higher concentration to the lower concentration, but in case of active transport, the ions move from lower concentration to the higher concentration using the energy in the form of ATP, that is called active transport. Now you can ask me, sir, how many sodium ions and how many potassium ions are pumped? See, I have mentioned, so 3 Na plus ions they move out of the cell, and 2 K plus ion they move inside the cell. So 3 sodium ions are exchanged with 2 potassium ions. That is very important, and again this process requires the energy, and this ensures that neuron remains in its polarized state, resting state, ready to fire the stimulus. Now the next is conducting stage. It is also called depolarization state. Now, so it all begins when a stimulus is applied at a point on the polarized membrane and the sodium ion channels get open. So here, dear students, you should remember stimulus is responsible for the depolarization. So when a stimulus is applied on the neuron, suppose if this is a neuron and this is a stimulus, if I touch this neuron, so in this area it get disturbed due to stimulus. Stimulus is nothing but anything in the environment. It may be a touch, it may be a heat, it may be a cold. Okay. Now this stimulus triggers the opening of sodium ion channels. As a result, there is a rapid influx of sodium ion takes place. Now see this diagram, dear students. See, above one is polarized membrane. Now for example in this region, so you can see here, so when a stimulus is applied at this region, so at the polarized state the outer charge is, outer region is positively charged, inner region is negatively charged. You can see here. Now when the stimulus is applied, it becomes exactly reverse. In this region, the sodium ion channel get opens, so as a result, the sodium ions which are present outside, they immediately comes inside. And therefore, at this region, the polarity get reversed. It means the outer region become negatively charged and inner region become positively charged. This is known as depolarized state. So when a neuron is excited due to the application of stimulus, the sodium ion channels they move from outside to inside, and potassium ions they move from inside to outside. As a result, the polarity get reversed, and this is known as depolarized state. Now, so this rapid influx of sodium ions causes a dramatic reversal of polarity at the site of stimulus. So you should remember, where the stimulus is applied, on that region only the sodium ion get opens. The sodium ion channels get open. The remaining region is undisturbed. Okay, and inside of the membrane momentarily becomes positive and to the outside. Okay, so you can see that just now I told you the inside become positively charged. Why? Due to influx of sodium ions. Now the sudden electrical spike is an action potential. So action potential is generated at this region as shown in this figure. B. Okay. Now, so if you check the current or voltmeter using the voltmeter, I mean the membrane potentiality. So earlier it was minus 70. Now it is changes to plus 30 to plus 40 millivolts. So this means that so there is a action potential is generated at the axon. Now one more state is known as repolarization. See, as the impulse move to the next point, the area that are just fired begins to reset. Okay, and therefore, see, you can see this picture. So here earlier in the figure A, remember it is a resting axon. The outer side is positively charged, inner one is negatively charged. Now, when a neuron get excited due to the application of stimulus, at this region it becomes depolarized, and the rest of the region there is no any change. Now, so this stimulus, or you can say the action potential, now it is moved to the its adjacent part of the axon, and you can see that so this is polarized, this is depolarized, and whereas this region become repolarized. So because the stimulus is a temporary, and hence the opening of sodium channel is also temporary, it is for a fraction of second, then immediately the potassium ion channels get open and sodium ion channels get closed, and the membrane become repolarized. So you can see all the conditions: polarized, outside positive, inside negative; depolarized, outside negative, inside positive; and repolarized means once again it has reached the polarized state, because you should remember the opening of sodium ion and the stimulus is a temporary. So, so efflux of positively charged K plus ion takes place. So they rushes out of the axon carrying the positive charge with them, and this outflow of positive ions causes the membrane potential fall back towards the negative value. So again, if you check the things like, for example, in the next resting neuron, the electrical potential difference is minus 70 millivolt. On a depolarized membrane, due to the stimulus, the sodium channels get open and an action potential is created. And if you look at the value, so it is plus 40 millivolts. Now during repolarization, the sodium ion channels get closed, potassium ion channels get open, and the potential falls to again minus 70 millivolt. So these are the three states: resting or polarized, depolarized, repolarized. So I hope it is clear about the transmission of nerve impulses in unmyelinated neuron. So thank you very much for your attention.